Robert,
Yo, what's shaking, AC?
let's continue the master franchising gravy train.
Yes, we should. I'm
Hey,
speaking to my microphone here.
Yes. Speaking of that, you know what we forgot to celebrate?
What did we forget to celebrate?
Which is by the time we release this, is your championship as the world. What is the actual title for your poutine?
The world poutine eating champion.
Like, maybe we should actually do a rant about that separate.
Okay, maybe, we will. We'll talk about how I pack my face full of fries, cheese curds, and gravy. It was so attractive. Let me assure you.
Yeah, all for the kids, for Friends of We Care,
yeah.
and shout out to Ryan Smokin for putting that on, of Smokes Poutineery. Awesome initiative. Usually it's a big event. This time it was a bit of a secret event. Still raised like $50,000 or something.
That was the goal. We raised $85,000.
Ooh, well, I helped a little.
Clobbered. Yeah, you did. Thank you.
Kicked in a little donation to that, but yeah, that was okay. Well, maybe we rant about that another time. But congratulations. Did you get a belt at least, like a big like a wrestling belt?
I got a trophy. Right. And I got to hold the big trophy, and I got a poutine to take home, and I got bragging rights for the next year because it is sanctioned by the Major League Eating Federation of people that eat professionally.
I feel like we could talk all day about this because I want to know how you were feeling after and all these things. But anyway, okay.
Okay, let's get back to master franchising. AC, listen, where did we leave off? I was asking you about countries, okay? So let's say I want to master franchise in BC. Let's say I want to open locations in BC, British Columbia, Canada. Should I sell them just like regular multi-unit franchise locations, or should I master franchise? Does it make sense to master franchise in your own country if you understand the currency and the culture and the language?
Yeah, typically you don't. There are people that do, there are brands that do, but it's adding in that layer, like you're removing yourself a little bit even more because you're not involved in the vetting of the franchisees. So you're counting on that master franchisee, or sometimes they call them master franchisor. You're counting on that person though to really understand your brand and to be looking out for your best interests and to understand what they're looking for in a franchisee. And so what if they get it wrong and you're in your own country? Like if you're, overseas and they do, the brand's a little different, it might be okay, but it's just a higher level of risk.
Okay, so that brings me to my next question is, what sort of qualities do you look for, or how do you vet a master franchisor? Should they open up one location with you first to prove that?
Oh, yes. I thought you were saying something else. I was like, don't master franchise to open one location, but that's not what you meant.
Right.
Well, okay, hang on one second. If you don't mind, let's just go a little bit back.
Actually, I do mind.
Oh.
I'm kidding. Go ahead. Do whatever you want.
Okay. So when we talk about I'm not saying don't look for an area developer. I said, master in your own country, not the most common thing. Area developer in your own country, more common, or multi-unit. Do you want to talk about that?
Sure.
Then we get to the qualities. Okay, cool. Yeah. Okay. So the thing is, if you do an area developer, because I get asked this by a lot of like brand new franchisors, they'll have 5 units or something. And they're like, we have this person and they really want to open, or like they'll be even going from US to Canada, right? And I just want to make it clear that the thing that you got to know is you don't want to distract yourself from what you're building. Now, you guys are already more spread out because of the nature of VR. You don't need quite as much to grow concentrically, although I would argue that it's always a little easier because the brand awareness is not more natural, but you're already more spread out. So for you, you've already dealt with that challenge, but you know how the closer to home someone is, the easier it is to support them. So if you go and get an area developer and you've only got a couple of units and you're kind of trying to grow, say concentrically in Toronto, for example, and then you've got somebody in Western Canada doing area development and you're trying to support them too, and you're just still trying to figure out this yourself. You don't even really have this perfected. You want to get this right first before you go putting a lot of resources towards area development. And that kind of, I think we've ranted about ideally you would expand concentrically for that reason. I think this is going to be a 3-part series.
Actually, keep talking, keep going. I'm gonna pour myself some whiskey while you.
Well, we could use this as a Whiskey Wednesday. So shout out to Pete Baldine and Amanda House and David Chapman and the whole gang that does the Whiskey Wednesday. There we go. So, okay. So if you're going to have an area developer, my recommendation is to only do that even when you get to a point where you really are starting to understand franchising. Like you've got it you're starting to figure it out. Like think of when, you're at 10 units and you really don't know as much as, the more you get, the more you learn. So I would encourage people to hold off on doing anything like that until further along. So the multi-unit owner, what I would do is if I had somebody reaching out to me that said, I really want to be the area developer, because this is usually how it happens. It's less common for people to go looking. It's usually, someone will come and go, I really want to develop Western Canada. And you're like, oh, we weren't ready for that, but okay, we'll explore it because maybe there's a market there. Maybe we should be exploring before the competitors get there. So when you get that person, what I recommend you do is talk to them and have them understand that they could start out as a multi-unit. They can start out really with one unit, but you'll give them like performance targets. And if they hit those targets based on a schedule that you mutually agree on in your agreement, then you'll start to move them into the position of being an area developer. But the thing is, a person that's good at running like one unit doesn't necessarily have the right traits to be a multi-unit owner, let alone, I might have said that backwards, an area developer, let alone a multi-unit.
Right.
Like it's a different set of skills. So I would still start with like, just get them running one unit. If you're even willing to do that all the way across the country, the only way I would ever give a person a unit all the way across the country, personally, if I were the franchisor and I were early stage or even further along, is if that person was identifying or like coming out as like a true rock star. Like they were really just super vetted. Like when we looked at them, there's like zero red flags and they just seemed like super, super awesome. That'd be the only way I would even do that deal, where I'd say, okay, why don't you open one unit and we'll do a performance schedule and we're going to really work. We're going to, work with you to get it right. But you also need to show us that you can do this. Mm-hmm. Then, you might move it to the next level.
Yeah. So that's
that answer that.
Because like, it sounds to me like if somebody wants to be a master franchisor or master franchisee or whatever it is, you're basically looking for somebody who's kind of sort of an entrepreneur, right? Like they need to be systems oriented enough to follow your systems, but they need to be entrepreneurial enough, more than you would expect from a franchisee, in order to grow the business. But first you need to bring them on as a franchisee to see if they'd follow your systems. So this line of entrepreneurialism, you're just walking Niagara Falls there.
Well, yeah. If the person this is kind of leading towards the quality things and the traits, if they're already a master franchisor and they already have that figured out and they've already built up a team, it's all about this leadership team that they had. Like when you go to that multi-unit franchise conference and there's people with 30 units or 70 or two brands of 70 each, they've got a full-on head office of like 90 people running their franchises. Yeah. And so that's what they need to have. They need to have that team set up. And I'm so popular, so I'm getting mail delivered to me right now.
You're at a revenue agency.
Yeah. So now I got thrown off.
But that's okay. We got to wrap it up anyways. We got to film a part 3 here because this just keeps going.
Dun, dun, dun.
Continued.
Oh, we didn't say it. Okay. 3, 2, 1, go.
Go be awesome.